We're here with Ron Capps and his crew chief, Dean Guido Antonelli. Thank you guys for taking the time. And first off, we're talking a little bit about driver-crew chief combinations and how you guys have been able to really be one of the more top-notch ones in the sport. We'll start off with, how have you guys, or where did you guys, I know you've been working the last 5 years, but where did you guys first start to work together?
Oh, yeah, that work together, I'll answer this first. But we actually had been friends a long time. When I was a rookie in Top Fuel, he worked at John Force's, drove the rig, I also drove the rig, and they would go places to work on the car between races back then. They had a home later on, but back then, between races, you just went to hotel parking lots or wherever to service cars. And they let us tag along with them, so they were umpteen world champions, right? I was a rookie driving Top Fuel, and they let us sort of follow them around, learn where to take the dry cleaning in between races, where to park. And we actually met a mutual friend that in Texas was a boat drag guy, and he let us park, if you remember that weekend.
Yeah.
And we spent a couple weeks in Texas having a lot of fun, but I sort of showing me the ropes, and that's kind of how we became friends. I got some pictures of the house of us back then, way back in the Force days, and then years later, unfortunately and fortunately, Ron Tobler quit, whatever year it was, and Jack Beckman they didn't have a deal for their car, and as fate would have it, I got put together with Guido and his team at the time, and we just never got to work together, being friends all that time. He could tell his side of it, but it was really cool. We got put together, and first race, low qualifier, went on to win 2 world championships in a row, and kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, it's like he said, it goes back to '95. We tagged along on the road quite a bit and hung out in Dallas for a couple weeks after the annual rain out at Dallas between the 2 races. One of them always did. And hung out, we became really good friends. And then a couple times during the years, I almost worked with him when he had the Copenhagen car and McCullough was tuning it. We almost got together, and I almost worked on that car. But really in end of 2016, when I went to DSR from John Force Racing, we're kind of teammates, but not working together. And then when he bought the program and started his own team, that's when we became employee and employer.
Yeah, for Guido specifically, when you first were paired with Ron, what's that process like for you to kind of get that camaraderie and get that sort of being on the same page going into a season when you never worked with him before in that capacity?
Right, well, like for me, it wasn't a big change because I've known him so long, and we've hung out quite a bit. But for the crew guys, even though we were teammates, it's not like our guys knew him very well and vice versa. So he had to adapt to our guys, and I thought we were going to have to adapt to his driving style, but he's driven everything under the sun. So he says, nope, don't change that. Nope, don't change that. Don't change that. Nope, I'll adapt. And so really for us, it was a really good, smooth transition. And we had a very vetted group of guys, and so it just all came together really nicely.
What was that like for you to kind of have to, and you've gone through crew chiefs, had success over the years, no matter who it is that you're working with, but what was it about Guido that you're able to get on the same page right away and start winning races and championships?
Well, they had a great car. Fast Jack was nicknamed Fast because of his car, so I knew they had a good setup. These crews get to be so close together, they develop nicknames with each other, so for me it was several races before I could remember whose name was who, and nicknames on top of it, so it was a getting, but I love the guys right off the bat. It's a new family, and I have my families from the old days I still run into, but I already knew, to answer your question, I knew the car was great, it ran good, you don't want to upset that. Your dream as a driver is to have a horse to ride, and they already had a great horse, so like I said, we changed some things in the cars that was very hard after being, I don't know, for me at the time, 20 years of driving and have to switch some things up. I almost ran over crew guys in the staging lanes a couple times because of different things in the cockpit. But obviously, like I said, we rolled the first race, the #1 qualifier, and it just took me, it was a challenge. And I loved that part of it, and trying to be the best driver I can. And honestly, every time I show up, it's not as an owner. I still, like I drove for Tobler or Ace or Snake. I try to, make my crew chief happy, and that part hasn't changed. He still yells at me, just like I'm a driver, and he tells me to keep it in the groove, like every crew chief does.
I don't yell.
No, he doesn't yell. He's right. But yeah, things like that haven't changed, and that's why you got to try to keep them somewhat the same.
And for Guido, after a typical race run, whether it's qualifying or during on Sunday eliminations, what's your process of going over a run and getting on the same page with Ron going into that next run?
Well, it varies with conditions. It varies with different facilities. Some facilities, one lane may be better than the other, or some tracks have the groove will pull you in, some will pull you out. So he's been doing this a long time, so he's pretty much on top of it. But I try and remember to tell him, hey, don't forget this lane pulls you out early or late, and he'll say, yeah. And so communication with the driver, the crew guys, like these things, all of us are just like a component, right? So it's no different than if I put a different supercharger on it. That's like if I change a cylinder head guy, okay, that it takes a little while to readapt to his habits. I could have two different people run the valves, and we'll spend 3 runs nozzling because of the difference in feel. That's how refined these things have gotten. So you just got to try and look at everything. You got 5 minutes really to download and look at everything, and then you're starting to make decisions for 40 minutes from then to pull the kill wires again. So a lot of variance.
And for Ron, when you're coming off the racetrack, going back into the trailer, what are you telling him? What are you relaying to him to make sure that you guys either make a certain change or whatever, just with collaborating on it?
Well, the computers will make a liar out of you, or it'll, I just try to give feedback. Sometimes they can use it. Sometimes if they're on the fence about something one way or the other, my feedback might help it. Sometimes it might hurt it. Very rarely in a funny car, as a driver, do you get out of the car and you feel like everything went great. You always feel like, oh man, I was out of the groove, and you get back and you say, no, it really wasn't. But in the car, you feel like it. And you watch TV and you're like, I guess I really wasn't. But you just try to give that feedback just in case they could make a mental note, and down the road something continues to go a little differently. They can look back and say, oh man, he did say this, so maybe something happened. But there's so many readings on the computer that, not that they don't need our feedback. I wish the sport would go back to no computers. It'd be fun, because I think we could really do well. I think I'm pretty good at giving feedback. But again, the cars have really evolved. Tire shake's different than it was 10 years ago. Like catching it and pedaling is so different than it used to be. So he understands all that, and I understand a little bit, enough of the tune-up that I can listen to him, talk to our assistant crew chief, and know what they're going to do, and I can expect it in the car, I guess, if you will. So I just try to, like he said, I try not to be a factor that he has to worry about. Tony Schumacher always talked about being a machine in the car, but the point is you want to do the same thing every time. And when there's something off that I do, he'll let me know, and then I got to go to work fixing it and getting back to being the same thing every time.
And final question, I'll start with you, Ron. How would you describe your relationship, your dynamic, and how has it kind of evolved over the years?
It really hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, we were friends. We like he said, what I love is his taste in life. His wife is unbelievable. They're two peas in a pod. They don't leave each other. Kelly and him, she's obviously very involved in the sport. We love the same type of things away from the racetrack. Good food, good wine, just hanging out, good music. There's just a lot of the same likes. And you go around this world one time. And so I've had people in the past that I've worked with and around that you don't exactly love going to work. And why would you not love going to work, especially when you can do what we get to do? So at the end of the day, no matter what happens on the racetrack, and I just feel like it's a great marriage. It really is. It's just a relationship.
Doesn't know that.
Yeah.
That we're married.
Yeah. What does that make you, anyway? But yeah, it's just, and I don't know what he'll say, but it's just, it feels at home. And I, not that I wouldn't want any of my past crew chiefs to make this move with me when I was an owner. But it just seemed to work really well. It was perfect timing. It's like the planet sort of lined up for me.
And what about you? How would you describe the dynamic and just why it's worked so well?
Well, like he said, I don't think really it's changed from our relationship. He's very calm, and so you don't have to worry about explosions not related to the race car. And
D- grades.
Yeah, D- comments and stuff like that. So it's very.
You know how many people that were ex-DSR employees that are going to get that joke?
Yep. so like, it's almost, he's the owner, obviously he's the boss, but to me it's more like we just continued our friendship. He'll tell me if we need to change something or do something different. He's the owner, I get it, and he confides in me for my opinion on some things, so it's fun to come to work. Like he said, it's almost not like a job except for the ulcers. But